Ohio, dudes, dudettes, and all my beautiful people of the interwebs. Bloody Nux here, aka the Gothic Gamer, and your resident anime king. Guys, it is Saturday, so you know it is time to go beyond. Welcome to the United States Smash with the Smash Podcast. I hope everyone's doing wonderful. It's another beautiful Saturday, guys, and you already know that there's plenty of news to talk about, and we got some very interesting topics here. But before we get started with all the topics, you know I gotta introduce my wonderful panel and crew. I was like, we're running light tonight because everyone's out working and or playing Super
Real light
Dad.
tonight.
Real light tonight, very light. I was like, the rest of the crew's either working or playing Super Parent because everyone got kids, and only the young bucks are over here holding it down. The young ones gotta have those no responsibilities and all that good
Hey
stuff.
man, on a real G takes care of the whole community at this point.
I
That,
mean,
that's 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 running theory right now. He takes care of the whole community.
he does. He taking care of his kids. He taking care of the kids up the street. Taking care of his niece and nephews. Taking
Super
care.
nanny. Dang.
Yeah, he's super nanny at this point. Oh, but he is always doing a lot. He's taking care of everyone, guys. But you already know what it is. We only got the light crew tonight, so let's go ahead and introduce my other young buck on the crew. You know he is the resident lawyer and all that good stuff, guys. What's up with you, operations?
Yo, nothing bro, much bro. Just been chilling over here. Been catching my manga. I started Boruto some time ago. So I'm on chapter 18 right now. But man, like I said in deal, I got a special announcement. So you better listen right now, bro, because I humbly accept my L for slandering this series.
Oh,
I will
what's this?
say
What's this?
I will
Ooh.
say furthermost, the anime has done this pretty much Boruto wrong completely. Like I understand they had to fail to catch up, well the manga go ahead further, so they can then start adapting that. But damn, bro, the manga's lit, bro. Like I'm only at chapter 18, but it's been lit so far, bro. So I'll humbly accept my L for slandering this series. I'm sorry, bro, but at the same time, fuck you, soul.
Oh.
I won't humbly accept it, but at the same time, bro.
Hey,
You were right.
we've all been saying it. He always defends Boruto, right? But we all been slandering that anime because
Rightfully so,
that
man. I understand the
anime
struggle.
is garbaggio, and I will stand by that. But we've all agreed that the manga was where it was at. We all agreed on that. At least the rest of us.
Yeah, I couldn't because I haven't read it yet, but now I understand. I see the error of my ways now.
There's nothing wrong with seeing the error of your ways. But glad that,
But yeah,
so you said you're only on chapter 8, right? You're only on chapter 18. You said so. How's
yeah.
that been going? How are you feeling about it? Right?
Like the pacing is it's really good. Like people like slander seriously. Like of course they compare the anime to like I guess the beginning of Naruto, the original one, and they compare like the pacing, the arcs and whatnot. I would say like in Boruto right now where I'm at, I would say it's almost there with Naruto's the original pacing or the arcs and how it gets. I would say it's almost there. It's not on that level yet, but so far it's been pretty good.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, since you're talking about everything that you're reading, have you been keeping up with any other mangas or anything like that?
The usual My Hero. There's One Piece, Seven Deadly Sins because I actually got caught with that last week, I believe, or week before. The Promised Neverland, which that's turned to a fucking circus right now. I'm disappointed in the writing of that manga right now. What else is there? Fire Force, but that's been yeah. Well, some chapters are hit, some are missed. Like it just that manga's real back and forth. It needed an anime, but at the same time, it needs more life in it. It's too mid right now. But
All
other
right.
than that, I can't think of anything else that I'm reading. I know I'm missing something. Oh yeah, of course, One Punch Man.
Oh yeah, OPM's great. OPM's great.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
thank
It's like
shout out to my girl BB, not your waifu, and the girl Glenn Von Grimm for hosting this channel and letting everyone else see what's going on. Magenta says she's still at work, so she hopes we have a good stream. Thanks, Magenta. I was like, trust me, we will. It's gonna be just a one of my podcasts, so it's gonna be short, guys.
yeah.
Well, we talked about this last week, but the new season, right, of anime kicked off. Are you watching
Mm-hmm.
anything right now, or are you keeping up with anything, or are you only gonna be watching your 15 old shows that you're behind on by like 10 years?
That's the usual plan, but like since got a new season coming out, I gotta kick it up now. I have moderately enough time squeezed out again, so I can definitely step that right there. So the show that we talked about last week, I can definitely squeeze in with the older shows. So I really should be good going forward.
All right, that's good. That's good. That's good. I say because you're just catching up with the rest of us by watching all the shows that we've been telling you to watch that you should have already been seeing. But now
Facts.
you're trying to pair it all together with everything new that's coming out, and you're stepping up your game. I'll say that you're stepping up. You're stepping up.
It had to happen sometime.
It had to
For
have.
anime podcast, goddamn.
I know, right? I was like, at some point you had to stop frauding.
I did, bro.
Yeah, you did. I was like, but you already know what it is. I was like, you already know the Anime King is always keeping up with everything right now, and I've been watching a lot of what's going on in the season. Of course, My Hero's out, and I gotta tell you, man, I don't know if you watched today's episode, but much better kickoff than
I
what
caught
they
it.
did.
This should have been the first episode.
Yes,
I'm mad
yes,
to get that
yes.
crap.
Yes, it absolutely should have been the first episode instead of what they did last week.
Like, I don't understand this overcompensation or paranoia to have with, like, make sure everybody's, like, is caught with what's going on. I'm like, this is my philosophy. This is what, the fourth season?
Yeah.
If you don't know what the hell's going on right now, don't start on this season. Go back to the first one and figure out what's going on. Like, it makes no sense to have, like, previously on last season. No! Make them go watch the first season and won't figure out what's going on. Same thing with episodes. If you don't know what happened in the previous episode, don't watch the new one. Watch the old one. It's not that hard. Like, damn.
I agree. It shouldn't be so hard, right? To just be like, hey, if you missed, or make it an OVA, right? Don't make it an actual weekly episode. Make it an OVA and let them do that as something that they could have done at the end of season 3 to get everyone excited for season 2 or whatever. Is that not what they did with like the Reagan movie for Mob Psycho 100 going into season 2? They retold like the first season as a hilarious side story, trying to have Reagan write a memoir about himself or whatever. Like, that's how you do it, right? Make it its own thing, separate, and not cut into the weekly shows. It's filler, and it gets annoying after a while. But I hate the worst. Like, if it's filler and it's filler, and we know it's filler, that's one thing. If they're doing whatever, like everyone complained about during the internship arc, right? When we got to see Froppy and everyone else doing their thing during their internships. Yeah. That's cool, right? Yeah, that's a filler episode, but we're getting to see the rest of the students, right? But we know it's a filler. Don't make an entire filler episode that's a recap of everything before. That's even worse. All right, that does nothing.
It was damn near patronizing because like they can't break like everybody's cork. Like, are you serious? Like, are you really telling us what we already know? Even if someone is new, becoming serious. I get it. It's your first time watching. You want to figure out what it's about. But damn, bro, don't start a fourth season. Go back to the first one.
Yeah, it's just like, why would you take the time to tell everyone about everyone's powers and literally redo everything that we've already been knowing and stuff for like the past 3 years? Why would you do that? I was like, it wastes a week, and then people are just like, well, I'm skipping this episode and wait until next week.
Yeah.
Because that's basically how it felt after everything was said and done. I was like, it literally just came down into an aspect of, you know what? I'm just going to skip this episode and we're going to wait till next week. Mm-hmm. And I hate that it had to be like that. But this week's episode was the way that you kick it off from the jump. Because they finally showed off Overhaul. And I was like, y'all been knowing about Overhaul. I had ideas of Overhaul. But actually getting to see him in action. And what he did. His crew ain't nothing to fuck with. I'll say that. Straight up, nothing to joke about. And I was like, and I'm looking forward to what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stop here, just wait till all episodes come out, then binge afterwards, because, like, of course, I know what happens afterwards, but, like, I just want to shotgun through, just see it gets wrapped up after episode, because, ooh, man, it's going to get heated.
I don't know. I was like, I can't do that. I can't wait when I know everyone else is going to be talking about it. I was like, it's not like when we were younger and everyone was, like, waiting on certain episodes of Dragon Ball, like, where you had to wait a few weeks before everyone would talk about it. No, we got to keep it up every week. On the week, right? We can't be slacking anymore. Especially
I definitely can. There's nothing wrong with that. I know what's gonna happen, so I don't have to watch it. But
I say you can, right? You can, because you've been reading the manga. But I cannot lose my title. I gotta be on top of everything.
Yeah, I understand, bro.
But man, I gotta say, I'm excited. But my girl Toga, ooh, she got worked up. Yo, she was so heated. And I'm just like,
hey, man, she almost went stabby on him. I was like, oh, okay, they bring her out early.
Yeah, she was. dude. But I could not wait for what's about to happen next, man. But of course, besides that, everything else that's going on this season. Let's see, what have I else have I been watching? I've been watching High School Prodigies Have It Easy in Another World. That one's been really interesting. The one that I'm really been excited for, that I actually read the manga and really glad that I got an anime adaptation straight out the gate, was the hero is overpowered and overly cautious. That show is so hilarious. I was like, I cannot even like begin to describe it. Like the first 3 episodes out right now, you have to watch. I was like, it's hilarious, it's funny. I was like, and it takes the whole isekai uh, trope and flips it on its head. No, Mama Bean, I love your face. Okay. Have you actually been checking out the heroes overpowered and overly cautious?
I'm not. I haven't started anything new yet.
I was like, dude, you that one 3 episodes out. That one you need to watch. I'm telling you, you
Oh,
will
yeah,
not.
definitely gonna be first.
Oh yeah, definitely that one. And then there's a bunch of rom coms actually this season, and a couple slice of life, but not too many crazy action except Assassin's Pride. Assassin's Pride is another really great one. So that one I've been really enjoying, but I've been keeping up with all those and kind of going back and rewatching some of the shows that I missed from last season. Like I've
Hmm.
been watching from Commonplace to World's Strongest. That one's been really, really good. Or those who actually know it by its name is Ari Ferreta. Ari Ferrueta, I think it was is how it's pronounced. But that one's been really good too. And the last one that I'm catching up on that I missed from the last season was, oh yeah, I was finishing up We Never Learned because season 2 just started for We Never Learned.
Hmm.
And I've been really liking that one a lot. So there's some pretty good ones out this season. And of course I just watched episode 2 of Fantasy Star Online, the Fantasy Star Online anime. For those who did not know about the original game way back in the day and want to get the story, that one has been really well done so far.
Nice, nice. That's a good little list right there, man.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. There's a lot of great stuff out right now. I was like, this is gonna be a great season, but I cannot wait for what's gonna come up here soon in the winter and spring season because that's already impacted. Oh, and of course, Food Wars. Food Wars has been off the jump and getting crazy already, and I cannot wait. I love Food Wars. Oh man, that one's just a good time all the time. All right. Other than that, I don't think. Other than that, I've just been streaming a lot and trying to keep up with certain mangas. I just finished my Alita series. I finished the original, and I'm hopefully going to be starting the Mars Chronicles, and then Last Order, here hopefully soon. But manga wise, I've just been keeping up with all my usuals. Domestic Girlfriend. I just read the most recent chapter. My Girlfriend as a Gal. I just read the latest chapter of the Rising of the Shield Hero, and then I just read the latest chapter of the Heroes is Overpowered but Overly Cautious. So it's been a good spread of things that I've been keeping up with lately. But you already know how it all goes, man. You already know how it is. But with that all being said, guys, on what we've been keeping up with and doing, I think it's time we start hopping into these topics. And I think one of the ones that we definitely got to talk about here, especially as the anime, as the your little corner for anime news, right, is Studio Ghibli, right? The granddaddy, the baby, the beloved jewel of the anime industry, and for all people, right? No longer owned by Disney. It is actually now officially owned by G Kids, which is why Studio Ghibli is no longer going to have the Disney logo like we've seen in the past or anything like that, and why specifically it's not on Disney Plus. It's actually going to be partnered with HBO through their new streaming service HBO Max, since it is owned by G Kids, and they're a part of HBO's subsidiaries and partnered networks. So I thought that this is really good because of the fact that you got to think about the movies and history that Studio Ghibli has from their well-known ones to even some of their smaller ones that aren't as known. That is a very, very big library to have, and especially for anime fans. So pulling that over to HBO Max's streaming platform and adding to their content library is a really good move by having with G Kids now being part of HBO Max. So any new Studio Ghibli films going forward, whenever they're no longer running and they hit streaming platforms, it's going to be tied with G Kids, and that's going to be tied to HBO Max. So now HBO Max is definitely setting itself apart with everything that's coming out, especially when you look at content that's about to come out like right now with tomorrow, the premiere of Watchmen. I was like, they're definitely setting up a good run across all services and what content they're offering. What are your thoughts on that, Op?
But yeah, as far as our Studio Ghibli goes, it's going to HBO Max, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is amazing news. Like I said a couple months ago, I finished my Studio Ghibli run. But not all movies, just the ones I wanted to watch because some of them were slice of life, and
Hey,
I
listen here. Those slice of life ones, even from Studio Ghibli, are amazing.
I'm sure they're good quality. It's just like the only one I get a pass for was Violet Evergarden, and it's gonna take a lot for me to, to branch out from that one anime. But other
I,
than that, this is terrific, man. Like to go to one place, that's a bunch of other services as well, and watch their whole Studio Ghibli run, but that's great, man. Especially for a lot of people, because for some of them, it's been quite hard to find if you can't find them legally, of course. And of course, illegally is going to be more difficult as well because some of those movies are actually quite hard to come across,
oh yeah.
especially for me while trying to watch them back. They always do my little run, so to have them all localized in one place like this is great. This is definitely a big convenience factor for people who want to get into Studio Ghibli's movies because I'm sure people hear a lot about them, but haven't had a chance to find them or watch them. So this is a great opportunity just to give them man more credit, give them more shine, the whole studio more shine, just have more people appreciate their work.
Oh, absolutely. I was like, and you're absolutely right. It is very hard to find a lot of their content anywhere in a good platform in a way to be able to maintain it all across everything. I was like, and even still, some of those films haven't even been released on DVD or anything like that yet at all. I was like, some of them have still been waiting. I was like, only some of them have DVDs. I was like, they're very Studio Ghibli films have always been very slow to be remade and remastered on other platforms and stuff like that to get to be made available for everyone. I was like, so it's crazy to think that it was so hard to get a hold of them even on Blu-ray because some of them take years before they even get another touch up or anything like that. So now that they're being owned by G Kids and being openly able to be streamed, because even Disney wasn't streaming them anywhere, so it was already hard to get a hold of this content, anyways, unless you wanted to go find old VHS tapes and old DVDs and bust out and dust out that old box in the tool shed, you know, trying to find that
Yeah, I
old.
don't get that part. Like they own them, but like from what I know, they didn't do much with them at all. So it's
They,
kind of like it's like a paperweight at that point.
and they were. I was like, and that was the worst thing is because one, Studio Ghibli was perfect content for Disney's appeal and stuff like that. And anytime Studio Ghibli did anything, it was instantly always a hit because anything that Hayao Miyazaki made, a lot of people loved with. So the fact is, they had a sitting gold mine of content and library that they could have remade in every video format every time and been making money, but they didn't. They were very slow to do anything with it and reach out to their partners in Japan to do anything with it. So because of that, we got very little use of any of that content here in the West. So now that they no longer own it, and the fact is now that they're with G Kids, I think it's an amazing aspect because now more people are gonna get to experience these films, as well as the fact that it's gonna be more openly available to a lot more people now. That's just my aspect of it, but I'm glad for it. I was like, honestly, more people do need to experience and see what Studio Ghibli has done. I was like, their legacy in the anime industry and as just a studio is very very incomparable to anything else. I was like, if they didn't have such a legacy, you wouldn't see that they're getting their own theme park in Japan.
Yep. It's
Very
crazy about them is because like they have like a very unique pace and like flow to them as well. You don't see much other animes, movie shows out there right now. So like for me, like people like who haven't watched them yet, you definitely are missing out. So once they drop it on HBO Max, please check them out. Do yourself a service and check out this creativity that they've been exhibiting from the studio because it is top notch.
Absolutely, it is. It really is one of those studios that are absolutely top notch. That one, you don't even need any sort of. If you hear the name Studio Ghibli, I was like, most people instantly know what you're talking about. If you say even half their recent films, I was like, people are gonna know. You say Princess Mononoke, you say Spirited Away, you say Howl's Moving Castle, those those that people saw as cartoons, they're still recognized. Same with Kiki's Delivery Service. All those very classic movies that are instantly recognizable from Ghibli because of the fact that they had the Disney name tied to them as well here in the West. That also gave them a lot of touch and a lot of notoriety. I was like, the fact is, this is only going to make HBO Max because of the fact that we're starting to see how much content that they're willing to put in for and bring on. I was like, they're going to be another big name in a competitive streaming service growing in this platform and in this sphere to make it one of the go-to services because right now with what HBO Max is offering, I was like, they're definitely going to be a go-to. You have them. I was like, Netflix has still been pumping out great original content and bringing back a lot of great animation and series and all their stuff. Hulu is still probably one of the most preferred streaming platforms out there and has a lot of great original content. And they still do a lot with their live shows and stuff like that on TV that not everyone is going to go to those direct streaming apps for and stuff like that. And that's all on there. And then of course you have VRV being the big network of Crunchyroll and High Dive and all the other studios like Mondo and their collections all partnered under one umbrella. These four names right here and Amazon Prime, even Amazon Prime has been stepping up with their content. Look at what they did with The Man in the High Castle, and then of course for us specifically, look at what they did with The Boys. I was like, and they've also been getting a lot of exclusive anime content because they have Vinland Saga. I was like, there's a lot of streaming services that are actually starting to put out variety and not all just sugarcoat and all use the same things that are making it much more desirable to have more than just a single service and actually have the content to actually make it worthwhile. And all of these, even still, if you were to get all of them, some of them have multiple networks under them. So you're getting a large variety and it's still cheaper than what you'd be paying for cable. Let's be real.
Right. Yo, wasn't Dororo from Amazon too as well?
Yeah, Dororo was also on Amazon as well, and Dororo was
Gotcha.
amazing as well.
Yeah. Oh, I know it's based off the manga came back. Was it back in the 60s, 50s? I'm not sure what time it dropped the original manga, but like the adaptation for that, bro, that was fire right there, bro.
Well, that was
Like that,
actually there was an actual anime back in the '80s of Dororo. That was the one that we just recently got is a remake.
gotcha. Okay. So that was I remember seeing the manga panels from what back then, but I didn't know it was actual anime. But okay.
Yeah, but no, yeah, no. It was well old manga, but it originally had a series back in like the '80s that was really
Mm-hmm.
old as well, and then it recently got remade, and it looks phenomenal. It is fire, dude.
I know that was definitely a knockout right there because I wasn't really expecting much from it. Then that
I
first
told
episode, I saw, I was like,
I know,
"Whoa!" I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
and that opening though, that opening,
It's still one of the best of this year. No, was this year? Yeah, this year.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
still one of the best of this year.
Oh yeah, dude, Dororo, whew, fire, fire. I was like that was one I loved. I was like, and man, that opening by Queen Bee. Oh, I love Uwu-chan. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
girl can sing. That's what I'm saying, man. I'm saying, but that one was another one. I was like, and like I said, we're starting to see that variety of everything that's coming out, and I'm glad to see that, and I'm glad that there are companies and studios that are losing licenses, and others that are picking them up and actually planning to do something with these old libraries, because of the fact that there's so much content out there that is just being slept on and left alone, that it's really sad that none of them are getting the attention or love or even support that they should be. I was like, yes, Studio Ghibli has been around forever. Everyone knows them. But still, it's hard enough to find that content without having to go to some crazy old dives to find the stuff. I was like, this needs to be on some sort of streaming platform to let people be able to see it and experience it. Because I remember growing up and seeing those old films and watching them with my parents and my sisters, and they just thought they were really well done cartoons, and that inspired my love of animation that later evolved into anime when I started seeing more of those, you know?
Yeah. You know what HBO should really do is once like the Studio Ghibli films start dropping, put like an ad out there, one or two, get people get the notes out there, get people interested. Then after some time, just drop some Blu-ray remasters of the movie, and that I'm pretty sure like once you give that enough time, give enough care, those Blu-rays are gonna fly off the shelves, bro. Because people gonna start seeing the quality and the creativity from the studio. And like, okay, like this is double streaming service, but I actually want to own this. And if
Listen,
they have the Blu-rays out there already remastered with them for their own, like you're printing money right there for them. You're printing money for them at that point.
absolutely. You're absolutely right. And they absolutely should do something with it. G Kids should definitely make that move and make that push once there's enough love and interest from those from the streams and stuff like that and on this platform, and it would absolutely do numbers. Hell, if they were to do like a massive like Blu-ray collection of all the films and like a really nice like collector's case or anything, I would drop like $300 on that entire collection. No cap. I was like, you know how many films that they could put into that would be absolutely worth it? There's at least 10. I was like, if they do something like that in a nice case or a nice collector's box, I would drop 300 on that instantly.
Yo, a steel case for each one of them, that's gonna be expensive, but a steel case for them, especially Princess Natsuka, bruh, they one for me right there. Like
I,
I'll buy a couple just to give away on the stream. I don't care, but that movie was my favorite one out of all Studio Ghibli films.
yes, yes. I was like that one was. God, now I want to go and watch. HBO Max, get them out now. I want to watch it all.
Please, man, I'm hyped right now. I'm ready
I
for him right now.
know, right? I was like, I want to watch it all now. I want to go down that memory lane. It's been so long since I've seen those films. I still remember most of them like to the T, but it's been forever since I've seen them. Oh man, I was like, my childhood is about to get completely like excited all over again. All right. Well, I think we talked about that well enough. Let's go ahead and head into the second topic that we got here, man. I was like, so speaking from there, we're gonna go ahead and go into our next topic that's still anime related because of the fact that that's what we do here. Um, Cowboy Bebop, right? Cowboy Bebop, the the space western of all space westerns. The probably my actually it is my all time favorite anime. I was like, it's one I have at the top of my list as one of the greatest and stuff like that. Was getting a live action adaptation on Netflix, and we all know about this. And there's been a lot of back and forth on what we were getting and stuff like that. They stated originally they were going to be using a husky for Ein, which I said no. How dare they? They recently, a couple weeks ago, fully showed off and made an announcement that no, Ein is going to be a corgi because you're damn right he's a corgi. All right, I would not accept him as any other animal and or species or breed of dog. I was like, but they've been in production. They've been in
Mm-hmm.
production for a while, but they said earlier this week that they were actually putting production on pause because apparently during a scene, John Cho, who's supposed to be playing Spike, I believe he is, actually got injured on the set and was going to need time for recovery. And they were not going to recast anyone in the film to be able to get through production. So they're going to actually put the production of the live action series on pause to give him time to properly recover. And I thought this was actually really cool, right? That they were not so focused on trying to get out this content and get on the money that they were actually saying, you know what, we're gonna wait. We're gonna put the production on pause and wait for you to be able to continue with everything, so that way we can actually put this out the right way with the cast that we have and stuff like that. You don't see them doing that all too often, which is the good thing, right? You'll see a lot of these companies willing to like just change out actors and stuff like that, um, and just go from there. But the fact that they're actually standing behind John Cho for this has been wonderful news because I think that it's the only way to go. I was like, they should not get rid of him or recast or anything like that. What are your thoughts on them actually sticking behind all of this?
Well, this is a very smart move by them because recasting for this type of role can be real iffy.
Yes.
I think it's a great move for him as well, but it's also a very costly move for him as well because like they invested some money into this movie already, and they're gonna need a return on that, and to get postpone it for almost a year. Now that as there's gonna be a lot more pressure on this movie as well to succeed. It's good they're giving this time for him to recover, just to maximize the quality of this movie as well. But due to this injury, which is unfortunate, I'm not holding this against him at all because this happens on sets. But due to this injury, due to this postponement, there's not a lot more pressure on the movie to succeed as well because what the money is right behind it as well. So I wish for speed recovery of him as well. I'm glad they didn't try recasting because like with this movie, because we already know anime adaptations in real life, there were a lot of hit and misses, more on a miss than a hit at this point. And so for them to want to do it right, I'm glad they're doing it. But like, this is probably the best move for him going forward. Just let him heal up, let him recover, and like just get this movie going forward. And hopefully it will succeed.
Oh no, you're absolutely right, and I'm glad you're right. It is gonna definitely be a cost, right? It's
Yeah.
they've invested a lot. We've already seen a lot of what they're investing into. We're seeing like with the success of Castlevania. Now you see the success of Cannon Busters, Seis Manos, and the talent that they got to voice act in these shows, and the people that are coming out to produce these shows and do the art for these shows and things like that. And live action adaptations, you're absolutely right. They are absolutely either good or bad, and it's always a touchy subject between on the spectrum, and especially when you're looking at anime adaptations. Although I think with what they're trying to do with Cowboy Bebop, I think that it actually has a chance to be really well done
Mm-hmm.
because the fact that you're looking at a series like Cowboy Bebop, right? Has one season, or I guess technically two seasons if you want to count it, but it has 25 episodes, right? Even if they do a live adaptation, they can do a full 24 episodes. Or if they really wanted to, they could do 12 episodes at an hour long and combine the episodes that that pair up right to each other, or be able to take two episodes and pair them together, because even though some of them
Right.
have two different stories, the way that they ended up separating off, they can actually be well interweave together and things like that. And one, they would keep the countdown, but they would still be able to do the full story of Cowboy Bebop in a well done and controlled manner. But that does still take a lot of investment. But they said last year that they were going to invest over $1 billion into a lot of this stuff and more as time goes on, because we see that investors are starting to see the success of anime and the streaming and adaptations. Because whether they're good or not, they get some views. Let's be real. They get views pretty
So
hot in the early
they
days.
get views, and they get a lot of internet traffic, whether it's good or bad. Perfect
Hey,
example: the Death Note movie.
oh, that
Ass. It's
yeah,
a terrible movie, but people talked about it for what, a month or so.
yeah.
So
For
that's like,
like 2 months, we were talking about it 2 months later. Oh, that is exactly like they say. That all press is good press, right? There's no
right.
such thing as bad press, especially when it comes to films, because of the fact that there's a lot of people just gonna be like, you know what, everyone's talking about this. I want to check it out. Like everyone who hated Death Note, the live action film, were diehard fans of the anime. The people who
Yep.
liked that film were people who didn't know about the anime. And
So
if you never saw the anime, it's a good film for you guys, right? Enjoy it. But for us, we're just like, nah, that can go into trash. Go
this ain't it, cheap.
over there.
This ain't it.
This ain't it. No, no, bad. Oh no, street gummy bears and vodka cast. No, that's not this show. That's not this show. We ain't doing that right now. Oh, crazy,
Yo,
crazy.
hold on, wait, is that a Vault 111? What do you got on?
Yes, it is. Wait.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I see you guys. The yellow saw that blue. Oh, hold on a second. Let me confirm this real quick.
You
Got
didn't.
a fall boy in the back. I see you, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't recognize by the blue and yellow.
Yes, it is the 11 that was covered up. That's why I had to guess. And I'm like, wait,
Oh
this
yeah.
might be fall. Let me ask just to make sure.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I had this jacket for a while because it was a size that I wasn't able to fit in back in the day when I got it. And now I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? I put it on early. I'm just like, what? I could fit this thing. And I'm just like, oh yeah, because
Right. That's
I
the
got.
best feeling right there.
Oh yeah, because this was the only one left of that collector's box I got of Fallout. Because this was like Fallout 4. Yeah. I was like, and it's even got the 111 on the back.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a nice hoodie right there. But let's get back on topic. A quick segue.
So you know, I got that goose. I pulled up my headset. So yeah, I like it's got the one. It's got the 111 right here on the back too. So yeah, I got
Nice,
that good stuff.
nice.
Yes, yes. But yeah, man, it's just I'm glad that we're starting to see some things. I believe John Cho actually made a statement too about his injury, but I'm not entirely sure. I think I have the article here.
I can try and find it real quick.
But the fact is that you're right that it really does show um, that it takes way too long to recast someone. It's not that these castings, when they make some of them, whether they're trying to go for the full look or give a certain feel, I was like, it takes a lot of time to be able to properly put into these castings. And the fact is that while he got injured, yeah, they could easily recast, but it would still take some time to do it. And even if they did it before he recovered, then that would go into more time of production and going into reshoots and stuff like that.
Yeah, because at that point, like you said, casting is not easy. Like you got to find someone new that fits that role as well. And even at this point, even though you're trying to match it up with against a fictional character, you already found someone who's similar enough to that character. So you got two people for references to go off at that point: the original from the source material, and your previous caster from that point. Then on top of that, you got to learn the character as well and other nitty gritty details in as well. So recasting, it's an option, but in most situations, it's not an efficient option to go for. So you're definitely right on that, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, and it's crazy because of the fact that even if they were to find someone about it, right? Even if they were to find someone who fits the role, and it's someone that can do it, that still takes more time to go back and recast. Now, granted, it's possible that they could do it before the recovery period is over and get it well ahead, but there also runs a chance of how much that they have to go back and change and fix and stuff like that. That could end up going longer than if they would have waited for the original recovery period to go. Because the right now they're saying that the production has been halted for 7 to 9 months while he waits for repair or waits for the surgery that's being done on his leg. And apparently they were saying that it was a freak accident because of the fact that it was during a scene that they had rehearsed multiple times. They've done multiple pre-shoots and stuff like that, and they were all advised and already knew what to do, and that it kind of just happened, even though they were going through their usual performance and stuff like that. Which goes to show you can practice anything 10,000 times, but there can still always be something that randomly goes wrong that could still mess it up, and that's kind of what happened.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely right, man.
Oh no! Oh, Street, don't do that! Don't do that! Oh no, don't do that! But it kind of goes to show that things can be crazy, and no matter how prepared you are, something can still happen. Ow! What's that?
Another ringing.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, yeah, something just went off in my ears right now. I don't know what the hell that was.
Hey man, you gotta mute your notifications on your PC.
Yeah, right.
That's turned into a recurring thing now.
Well, that's how I hear everything, right? Because that's it all playing in
Oh,
my headset, and that's how it plays the audio for everyone else. I was like, because it picks it all up from the headset. So when I hear it, everyone else hears it. Y'all don't hear it, but they do. That's the problem about things. But it's not the vodka. I had no vodka today. Stop it. Get wild over there. Look, I'm just glad that they're taking the time to actually let this go really well, and that things that hopefully this recovery period for him, that everything works out really well, and that with everything working out really well, that it's all going to lead to the fact of um, that's all going to lead to the fact of that this live action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop comes out really good. Because if it comes out really good and it turns out to be amazing, that time investment would have absolutely been well worth it. Because the fact that that would have shown that taking this time and supporting John Cho through all of this was the best thing that they could have done. Because the fact that it shows how committed he was and what they believed in with this production. Because if it comes out the it's booty, then that goes and falls on the writers and a bit of the actors. But we're gonna have to kind of see how it all comes out. But it can go one of two ways with taking the time off for this production to let him heal up from his injury.
True. Very true.
Yeah. So who knows how this could go? Because it's gonna go many different ways with however this all plays out. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and hop on to the next topic that we have here, which is Green Arrow, right? We're going to talk about Green Arrow. And specifically, we're going to talk about the Arrow TV show. And I know you don't like Arrow all that much, but you did see it in the past. Well, earlier this year, they stated that this season is going to be Arrow's final season, right? That this was going to be the end of Arrow as we know it. The Arrowverse is going to be changing after the big event at the end of the year with Crisis on Infinite Earths. Well, Mark Guggenheim himself actually made a tweet saying, "I'm really excited for this comic. I think this would be a good idea and foundation for what's to come next." And he actually tweeted out the cover for the new serialization and new comic line, Green Arrow and the Canaries. Now, if you don't know about Green Arrow and the Canaries, if you haven't been watching Arrow, it actually was jumping back between the past and future of what was going on in the Arrowverse. And for those who are actually watching it, we saw that Mia Smoke is the daughter of Oliver Queen and Felicity Smoke. And that she actually had a lot of training by her mom to do, as well as, the daughter of, one of the daughters of Ra's al Ghul, Talia, to actually be trained to fight and all that kind of stuff and use a bow and arrow just like Ollie. So in the future, she's actually picking up the mantle of Green Arrow. And of course, we've seen that the Canaries have been growing over time because we all know the traditional Black Canary with Laurel Lance. But kind of as the series has gone on, and even the comics themselves, we've seen other Black Canaries been showing up. We saw Laurel Lance, we saw Dinah Drake, and things like that kind of come into play as Canaries, and that now they're actually their own trained fighters and kind of groups and stuff like that. So now it shows Mia Smoke in the future trying to pick up the mantle of the Green Arrow, as well as studying both under Dinah and Laurel, both Black Canaries at the same time. So if this is how they're actually going to continue the Green Arrow in their TV show, I think it's kind of interesting. Yes, people can say, it's that all-female kind of appeal and stuff like that. Sure, that could definitely be one thing. But Mia was actually a very interesting character, and I did always like Dinah more than I did like Laurel's take of Black Canary, though the Black Canary that they have on the show now is actually one of the alternate universe versions of her where she was actually a villain known as Black Siren. So I think if they choose to go this route, it would actually take it in a very unique and interesting aspect of, letting the next generation come into play, retiring the old guard, with Oliver Queen stepping down and letting a new Green Arrow take over. We've seen a lot of the classics. We saw Arsenal and Roy Harper as, as Arsenal and Red Arrow and stuff like that, or as some people know him, what was the other nickname that he also gave to his sister? I'm trying to think.
Arsenal?
No, Arsenal was his name, but there was another name that.
Speedy?
Yeah, Speedy. That's what it was.
Okay.
I knew it was something with an S. I don't know. I was gonna say Skippy, but yeah, Speedy.
Oh hell no.
yeah. That's what I was like. I was like Skippy. No, that's not right. Yeah, Speedy. I was like, we've seen those, and we've seen them kind of do a lot of changes. So I think this is an interesting way to take the future to continue on the show, as well as what we've already been seen established. What are your kind of thoughts on that, Op?
I mean, it sounds cool, but like I said before, I kind of dropped CW as a whole, so I have been I'm far behind on it as well. But like, if they wanted to continue in this direction, it sounds pretty interesting. I might actually jump right back into it, but before I do that, I'm not gonna be a fraud. I'll watch the previous season and see what happens before I get there.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
What?
it seems it's great as they're going to continue going forward because like for what they are pretty good shows for what they're trying to achieve in that realm of TV shows.
Yeah.
So to see them continue on going forward is always good to see.
Yeah, and it seems that DC has kind of given them. I mean, they've earned it and definitely worked for it. But DC has
Oh,
really kind of given them the blessing of being like, hey, look, what y'all have established over there is great. Keep doing whatever y'all want to do, and we'll kind of keep supporting it. They've been growing out with Black Lightning. They've done Supergirl. They have the Flash, and I was like, we've seen a lot of switch ups in the Flash itself too, and all the different speedsters over time that they've introduced and how they can easily switch up the mantle there and what they're setting up for that future and stuff like that. And then, of course, you have the ever-changing cast on the Wave Rider for those who like the Legends of Tomorrow. That's always been changing too, and there's quite a few of the cast members from the Legends of Tomorrow that are gonna be stepping down, and they've always been able to interchange and take them across shows. That's a wonderful thing to do when you have that built universe that kind of supports that. You know, I was like, so I think with them finding a way on how they want to continue with the Arrowverse and how they want to continue telling stories of the Green Arrow,
mm-hmm.
but just a new Green Arrow, I think it's a great way to do it. Personally, I think that's a wonderful aspect on how they can keep it going.
Yeah,
So,
man, it's definitely true. It's definitely not a wrong way to go.
oh, definitely not a wrong way at all. So to CW and what they're doing over there and what they have going, guys, I wish y'all the best. I was like, I can't wait to see what y'all do with this season of all the shows and what comes afterwards. So we're gonna kind of see how it all plays out, right? All right. Now going from there, we have two very big, interesting topics here that kind of. I was like, there's one specifically that we're definitely going to kind of go into, and I'm sad that the rest of the crew isn't here for it. But there's one that we're going to talk about, and that's Aquaman, right? We've been loving DC, we've been loving Warner Brothers, and DC's been stepping up their movies after the poopity scoop that was the success of Justice League. Whether you like it or you hate it, I was like, it made money, but it didn't leave a lot of good feelings on the future of the DC movies, right? But Wonder Woman came around, slapped everyone around, and said, no, that's not true. And then Aquaman definitely put in that work and said, yeah, Warner Brothers and DC is going to step it just right. And we kind of.
Yo, speaking of Justice League, real quick, Joker actually beat it in the box office.
Yes, it did. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But, Aquaman showed everyone up and said, hey, we can make the joke character that everyone thought that they knew into one of the most badass and just right. And then you had the success of Shazam and stuff that DC is realizing that they could do their own things their own way, and that's what they should be doing instead of trying to follow the Marvel route. Because Justice League was just an overrushed mess, right? And I was like, and they can take years before they do another Justice League film, which I hope they do, because I want to see a lot more of the other characters kind of come out first before they try to set anything else up. With that being said, it's going to be interesting on how the success of all these movies continue to play out. We have Wonder Woman 1984 getting ready to come out, and we've seen a lot of stuff about that. Gal Gadot posing in the new Wonder Woman armor, her golden fleece armor, I think it was called, and stuff like that for the new sequel. But now we're starting to get early reports of stuff that's going to be coming out for the new Aquaman film, right? For the new Aquaman sequel. And one of the things that we've heard first here, which kind of doesn't surprise me, because of the fact that I figured that we would see it, although maybe not necessarily in the sequel, but even if it wasn't the sequel, I wasn't too surprised, is the fact that they announced that Black Manta is going to be back in the sequel film. He is going to make his appearance and stuff like that. And honestly, I'm okay with that, because I think the way that they portrayed Black Manta in the first film was really badass, because the boy who took up the mantle of Black Manta and seeing how he came to hate Aquaman and stuff was well established in that film, that once he donned the armor, because he made it all himself, it made perfect sense. It didn't feel out of place. It was worth it. And the thing is, they didn't kill him. They didn't do any dum dums and kill the big bad right out the gate. Right? They didn't get
Right.
rid of him or anything like that. No, he got away after making a mess of things. And we got to see a little bit of him at the end of the film when he captured the scientist or whatever who'd been talking years about Atlantis, but no one believed him. And now he's just like, you're gonna help me find Atlantis because he's gonna hunt down Aquaman. So the fact that he's returning for the sequel, I'm okay with this, right? Yeah, I would have liked if they put him in the third film and let another villain come around. But Black Manta is synonymous with Aquaman. I was like, Black Manta is Aquaman's Joker, right? You have Joker and Batman, and then you have Aquaman and Black Manta. I was like, that is his most biggest villain out of his entire rogues gallery. So I think it's good that they're kind of keeping him as a recurring, but I want each fight to get bigger and bigger and more intense with a lot more at stake. Because the thing about Black Manta too is that he's very very smart. He's very very tactful and he's planned, right? And we've seen that in the comics and we've seen that in and more recently a lot more of the TV shows, right? Look at Young Justice specifically. Black Manta is not no subpar villain or anything. No, he was a part of the Legion of Doom for a reason. So with that being confirmed, Op, what are your thoughts about the this announcement?
I mean, this is dope. Like, I really love Black Manta in the first Aquaman movie. Me personally, off the top of my head, he's probably the third best villain origin slash introduction we got in a comic movie. Of course, Joker, he laughed his way in first place at that point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Killmonger sitting nicely at number two right now.
Oh,
And now we got Black
agreed,
Manta as well.
agreed, agreed.
So yeah. So I'm excited to see more of him. Though cause, like you said, he's synonymous with Aquaman. I want them to make him a bigger menace going forward in these movies. But if they're gonna bring back a second one, they got up the ante. They got up the stakes with him as well. Because he was a threat in the first one,
Yeah, he was, and that
but
was
he
some that was him just putting something together like half cop too.
right like he was on Iron Man one shit right there. He's like like in a way kind of hobbled it together, but still looking pretty clean, and he still managed to do damage on him as well. But like then again, he only lasts up to like what the second half, the first half of the movie. Like from now, he was pretty much like erased from that point. So in the second one, like there's two ways to go with it. They can either make him the main villain, he'll be the only one that Aquaman's dealing with, or he could be a villain alongside another one like he did in the first one, the first Aquaman. They can go either route. The first one is more trickier and more risky because we just got introduced to him in this one. So people see him again like, ugh, like why would we get the same villain in the second movie? So like that could be more of a risk factor. But personally, I'm kind of down for either way because like the second one is gonna be easier than the first one, but the first one, if they execute that perfectly, make like a slow build up from make I guess make like a slow build up for him throughout the entire movie, like him getting close to Aquaman, or even closer to him for that final battle. It could work definitely, in my opinion. I think that can definitely work.
Oh, most
But like I said,
definitely.
this overall comes down to execution and how they handle it going forward. But I have faith in them. But I just want to see. I want to see more about this going forward.
Oh, I definitely want to see more of this going forward, and I agree that like that's what I was saying too. Is that with them bringing him back as a villain and stuff like that, that yes, they definitely need to make the fights more with a lot more at stake. I was like, or at least make them more intense, bigger growing, and a lot more to go on. I was like, now you have Aquaman set up as the king of Atlantis. He has proven that. I was like, and we've seen kind of what he did when he brought out the creature of the deep when he went into the trenches or when he went to the trench and went all the way down into there, went to the core of the earth and brought back that big old monster. All right. I was like, we know the power and the command that he has of the life under the water. I was like, but Black Manta is a master engineer, and we saw that technology that they stole from other Atlanteans, right? And how he modified it to be able to work into a suit. I was like,
Right.
and that suit was absolutely kicking all the ass until it started malfunctioning and blew up, and Aquaman figured out how to beat it. Now that he's had more time to work on that Atlantean tech, I was like, I want to see it more refined, and like you said, go Iron Man. Like if that was the Mark One Iron Man suit, I want to see the next one be the Mark II or Mark III. Like, he needs to step it up a lot more and
Right.
make these fights a lot bigger. I was like, because now they're gonna have a bigger arsenal from both sides. So
Facts. You know, really cool. Like in the second one, they either go like I guess far as far as remodeling Black Manta, they can go around like how they changed Black Manta's look in like Young Justice in the New 52,
yeah,
or I do like a blend of both of them, like the original one and the New 52 one as well. So like, either way, I think would be pretty dope.
I think if they find, I was like, I kind of hope that they go more New 52 because I do like the fact that it actually looks like a combat suit that's like an underwater suit that's been modified. Because if you saw
Right.
the old suit, it just looks like a giant wetsuit with a giant glowing clam on his face. I was like, it's all too smooth. I was like, I think we've gone past that. Now, if they make the underside of the suit very smooth and form fitting, but they have the aspects of it being a combat suit and an underwater modified, then yeah, that's cool if they can find that nice mix. But I was like, if they're not gonna do a mix, then they need to stick to the fact that it's a modified tech suit for underwater combat and stuff like that.
Right.
So I was like, there's just a lot of potential with the fact that of them bringing back Black Manta. I was like, yeah, he was a villain and a part of the original film, but we all know that the main focus of that entire film was against um,
Ocean Master.
yeah, Ocean Master against King Arthur's brother. So that's what that whole aspect was about. So with them, I hope they either put more emphasis on the fact that it's going to center on the conflict between Black Manta and Aquaman, or that Black Manta is going to be working with whatever new villain to try and cause a lot of havoc for Aquaman and Atlantis and stuff like that. Because I don't want them to do what they did with like thing like Spider-Man 3, or even specifically what they did in like Amazing Spider-Man 2, bring out way too many villains and make
Ugh.
one the centerpiece, yet everything else is going on around, and it's just like, well, why is that happening? That makes no sense to everything that's focused on over here. Because look at what happened with Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, it was talking about Electro, and yet he had all this other stuff going on that was not well explained, like the whole aspect of how Harry became Green Goblin and stuff like that. And yet there was an
Mm-hmm.
original Goblin, but what happened to Norman Osborn and stuff like that? Like, that one was all over the place with how they were trying to establish all that. And then with the original, Spider-Man 3 from the Sam Raimi trilogy, you had Sandman, Venom, and everything else going on under the sun. It's just like, well, you're focusing on Sandman, and then randomly Venom's the whole focus of the story. It's just like, why, what, where, how did this happen? Stop it. That's what they need to avoid. If they can do that, then I think whatever they do with Black Manta in the sequel is going to be a lot better, because they showed that they were able to do two villains and not overlap each other the right way in the first one. We saw that Black Manta was literally a group of pirates that were working under orders from Atlanteans that were causing destruction at Ocean Master's um, request and stuff like that, because he was using it as a way to get everyone united the underneath the, hey, it's the surface versus everyone who lives under the sea. Either you're with me or I'll destroy you.
Right.
So I was like, if they can continue doing that, I think it'll be perfect for what they do next.
Definitely, man. I have faith in them. They knocked out the first one. They have a foundation already set for them. So really, like they will have to be trying to mess it up at this point. But I believe they got it.
Yeah, I agree. I think they will. So again, with the fact that they announced that he's coming back, um, I'm not surprised, but I'm kind of glad. I was like, I'm glad that he's coming back. It's well worth it. We're gonna see how it all plays out going forward. Now, our next thing, and this is the one that I found really interesting that we were kind of talking about, and I'm looking forward to, right? Is the fact of Deadpool is actually going to stay rated R. And there's been a lot of talks from a lot of different people and a lot of uncertainty of what was gonna happen, and to everyone's favorite Mark with the Mouth. Now that he's officially a part of the House of Mouse, right? No one knew what was gonna happen after the Fox Disney buyout, and what our favorite, lovable, uh, unkillable asshole was gonna do, right? The ultimate, like, this is the big question of what's going on. Well, apparently earlier this month or earlier this week, was it this week or last week? Either way, recently one of the writers and producers actually announced that they would actually be getting the go ahead, that they got the go ahead from Disney themselves to allow them to continue at playing around in the rated R universe. So they're allowed to keep the universe that they've been building with the Deadpool films and the little bit of crossover that they've been doing with the X-Men and stuff like that, and keep it rated R, and basically keep doing what they've been doing. You know, nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna put them out. Not they don't have to force anything. And this has been a big point of contention and uncertainty for a lot of people. Is just like, are they gonna have to switch up and be PG-13 or anything like that to fit in with the MCU? Now, here's the big thing, right? We know they've established the multiverse and stuff like that, so they can easily keep it as, you know, their rated R universe is their rated R other universe doing their own thing. But we already feel that if there's a crossover with the MCU, that they're gonna have to bring it down and make him PG-13 and stuff like that. We already know that that's the only way they're gonna do that if he ever is gonna make an appearance in the MCU, potentially. But the fact is that they've already been given the go ahead to keep doing what they're doing is awesome. That's a good sign that they have the support from Disney and what Marvel's doing to allow them to continue doing everything that they've been doing now. And this is a good and bad, right? It's good because of the fact that the rated R content that we've gotten from Deadpool, the comedy and the kind of action that we expect, the vulgarity, that's still going to be there. That's still going to be its thing. It's still going to be absolutely wonderful and all that kind of stuff. However, this also, as I stated, puts an uncertainty if we're going to see him in the MCU. If he does cross over, we know that he's going to have to tone down and he's going to become, you know, PG-13 in those crossovers. But that still opens up potential of some of our favorite crossovers with, you know, Deadpool. Like, specifically, Deadpool, the Spider-Man Deadpool crossover series that's happened for a long time. We can now potentially have that. It would be very interesting how they pull that off, but we know it's going to have to absolutely be toned down. But how they make it work could be very interesting in its own way. But that still kind of changes up the aspect of what are they going to do going forward if they're going to keep this character, letting him do what he does, and how they're going to make him fit into everything else, or are they just going to let him be his own entity in his own universe and never cross him over? That's going to be the big point at this aspect now. With that being said, Op, what are your thoughts on this? Because we all had some quite some conversations and discussion on this, right? So, what are your thoughts for everyone?
I mean, it's good that they're not going to ask all their work they put into to create this universe for them. However, let's just hope they keep their word about it, because we know Disney, for making drastic changes to a continuity, to an expanding universe, they will go that route. For a big example, and probably the only example, Star Wars. Like, they literally just nuked the entire EU. Now they just pick and choose what they want to bring back as continuity and what's not canon as well. So they've done it in the past. They could do a Deadpool going forward, but let's hope they keep to their word and say they're not going to just touch, not going to infringe on that. Let them do their own thing. But of course, going to the MCU with this new phase, it looks like they're going to get a little bit more gruesome, but I don't know going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I was like, but in the aspects of Star Wars, right? They had to do that because of how loose George Lucas was with the license for that. Literally, anyone that wanted to write something Star Wars, they're just like, hey, can I use this and write the story? He's just like, go ahead, I don't care. I was like, he was fast and loose with his own IP. Let's be realistic here, and there was a reason that they needed to close it up. Now, granted, they stated when they were purchasing it that all the expanded universe and all the books they were gonna make its own separate entity as the legacy novels and stuff like that. And over time, they were picking the more preferred and more requested content to be made as canon. Like we saw that for the biggest thing is that they started making a lot of the Knights of the Old Republic saga and timeline canon, from the games to the characters, and then of course they had the official, Star Wars Old Republic MMO, and that tied into a lot of what was going on with the old Knights of the Old Republic series, and that was all made canon. Then of course they brought back certain characters like Darth Plagueis and that kind of stuff, and hearing his history from his teacher, and then of course you had everything that they did come in from there. They had to kind of rein everything in to get it more streamlined, and now we've seen how they built upon that. Look at what they've done with the Clone Wars series. Then look at what they did now with the Rebels animated series. They've expanded a lot. They introduced characters like the Shock Troopers. They introduced characters like the Inquisition and their own specialized army of clone troopers and stormtroopers who were meant to hunt down and fight the Jedi. We got a much better streamlined and added to the universe as it was canonically, instead of gotten all these different stories. Don't get me wrong, I read a lot of the expanded universe. I was like, I absolutely love the expanded universe. Darth Nihilus, the founder of the Rule of Two for the Sith Lords, very, very one of my favorite stories, right? But there's a lot of other crazy stories and powers that kind of just went all over the place. Like there was like a Darth or a dark side power that basically allows someone to create their own black hole and generate like dead stars, and basically blow up the galaxy if they wanted to. Things got a little bit out of control. So the fact is that they needed to get that kind of streamlined. In this aspect, there was nothing to really streamline because of the fact that Deadpool has already kept itself kind of in its own sphere and kind of had it in its own little pocket of everything it did. While it may have been a Fox title and exist in the same universe as the X-Men, they joked about them existing in the same universe as the X-Men and which X-Men that they had, and they were talking about how he only ever saw a Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus and stuff like that. He's like, I only ever see you two. It's like we couldn't afford the rest of them or some shit. And then every time they kept mentioning Professor X, he made the joke about whether it was McAvoy or Stewart, stating that there was two universes that he was aware of different X-Men. I think is that they've kept themselves well streamlined enough in the universe that they sit in that they didn't need to have anything kind of cut. They just needed to be saying, hey, y'all can stay in y'all's own universe doing y'all's own rated R thing, or y'all continue being a thing, but we're gonna need y'all to tone it down so that way we can fit y'all into our projects. I think that was the biggest uncertainty of this whole thing, Op. All right, well, good conversation. Well, we lost Op. So, anyways, I'm just glad that the whole crew was given their go ahead to continue to stay rated R. I was like, Deadpool being anything than rated R would not work very well. I mean, I don't know how they managed to do it, but they did it with a Deadpool Christmas where they recreated the sequel as a PG-13 film, and it was hilarious how they even censored themselves and made a joke about the fact that they were censoring themselves. But going forward, I'm just kind of glad that it's going to stay as we know it. Because, sometimes you need that rated R X vulgarity kind of humor. You don't get that often. I was like, so I'm kind of glad that he's staying exactly what he's doing. But how he plans, or if there are plans to bring him over into the greater aspect of the MCU, that's where things are going to be interesting, and that's where the uncertainty is. Now, the last topic that I have here that I'm going to talk about is Joker. The villain, the beloved the most recognized character in all of DC, second only to Batman and stuff like that. The film that everyone was saying was going to cause a massive panic across the world. Well, or at least in the States, anyways. Well, it has officially passed the gross total of Justice League's entire run here in the States, which was $677 million. It passed that tonight. And that's just here in the States. Worldwide, it has now passed over $1 billion because it had $380 million on the worldwide market, or on the global side of things outside the US market. And that's excluding China because it has yet to premiere in China. This film has done this in just over 2 weeks. And that makes it another one of the biggest grossing films of all time, and shows just how much respect there was for this film, this character, but also there has been almost no hate for it. There was a lot of pre-built up hatred and warnings and all this trying to dog the film. But after the film came out, there was nothing but praise and adoration and respect for what was achieved to the performance of Joaquin Phoenix and what they managed with this film due to the writing and everything else. So it's interesting to see that a villain or a character like the Joker and what we saw can have this kind of effect across everything. No, it's still associated with DC. It absolutely is. I was like, they just also in the film they also kind of made it show that that the Joker is a unreliable narrator. So a lot of what could have happened in that film may not have been the way that it seemed either. I was like, they did a lot with that film. And I'm glad to see the success of Joker. I was like, I'm really happy to kind of see what this film has been able to accomplish and achieve despite everything that it has received before. Not many films can top that aspect. Not many films are able to achieve or do what it has been able to do. And that's the great aspect of what Joker has done. I was like, a lot of people were uncertain about Joaquin Phoenix's performance as the Joker, but everyone has been really loving his interpretation. And we've had many great interpretations across generations of this character. We've had Jack Nicholson. We've had Mark Hamill. We've had Heath Ledger, which a lot of people didn't think anyone was going to be able to top or even compare to. Of course, everyone said the same thing about Mark Hamill because his voice is like, will always be the Joker's. But Heath Ledger gave one of the most impressive real life performances of the Joker and stuff like that. That was crazy. And now we're seeing that Joaquin Phoenix was able to do the same, to give another interpretation of this character. And I'm glad to see that. I'm truly glad to have seen that. This whole portrayal and this whole aspect of it. And I'm glad that it's getting the recognition it deserves. And this is still cutting out one of the biggest markets in the world. This is without them having the Chinese market, which is probably the second biggest market, second to the US with Hollywood. China has the biggest market that makes up a large majority of the international total that a film will make. I was like, the fact that it's still at about 400 million globally without China and has almost hit 700 million in the US alone kind of shows the testament of this film. Because not only is it about a character that's very recognizable, it also is a product of its time. Because of the fact that, when I say that, it does a lot of commentary on a lot of social issues that make sense in its world, but also can be alluded to in real life, but just has a well done interpretation of making it known, hey, look, there is a reason things like this can happen, and it makes you think. I think that's the interesting aspect. Like, we can all look at the Joker as many different things, but he very much still is one of those characters that makes you think, right? That's just me. That's just my views on it. Yes, he's a psychopath. Yes, he's a mass murderer and all sorts of stuff. We can look at everything that the Joker has done and say, "Oh yeah, that's messed up." But it's the philosophy and understanding of why he does what he does and how he goes about it that makes you think. He really is one of the most beloved villains in the DC universe. He really is. You know, with Harley Quinn right behind him for obvious reasons. But there's plenty of others. But the issue is just because of the fact that not only is he just well loved for his insanity, it's more that he does offer a lot of very interesting thought. What's the right term? He does offer a lot of thought provoking aspects to life. There's a reason he's the antithesis to the breakdown that is Bruce Wayne, that is the Batman. That's kind of why his understanding and teachings and the Killing Joke is one of the most well beloved, but also one of the most messed up. Like, you're talking about how he tortured Jim Gordon, how he tortured Barbara, how he tried to break Bruce, but all of it was in the vein of what is yeah. Well, there's the thing, Manny, is that Lex Luthor is a very well thought out and very calculative villain. I was like, he is one of the most beloved. I'll say that him, Vandal Savage, and then of course Darkseid. Right? I was like, those are the other big names for villains. But the thing about the Joker that made him kind of one of the most philosophical, besides the fact of due to all of his insanity, is that if you look at the Killing Joke, right, how he tortured Barbara, how he tortured Jim, and how he tortured Bruce and stuff like that, all of it was to prove a point: is how close is to someone to that one bad day that kind of just shoves them over the edge, right? He wanted to see if he can break Batman's will and break his rule of no killing. Like, can he push him to that point of wanting to kill? Can he push Jim Gordon to that breaking point of he's been tortured so much that he wants to kill himself? That's kind of why he did to Jim Gordon what he did, just like why he did to Barbara what he did, right? He wanted to see if he can break someone like that. And that's kind of what the original theory was about the end of the Killing Joke comic line, right? Because he told the joke to Batman is that there's two prisoners escaping from a prison, and they're standing on top of one building, and there's another one, and one of the prisoners says to the other, he's like, all I have is this flashlight. He's like, so if you cross over, he's like, you'll be okay. And the second one returns to him and says, no, I don't trust you. And he says, why? He's like, because you'll turn the flashlight off. They're both insane because he thought that he could actually walk across a beam of light to the other building and didn't trust the guy to keep the flashlight on. Like, it shows that everyone's a little insane about everything. And I was like, and that joke actually made Bruce laugh while he sits there and has the Joker in his hands. And after that scene, there's just blood, right? In the movie and in the comic. So it's assumed that Batman actually snapped the Joker's neck at that time, right? So there's a lot of different aspects of why Joker is such a character as he is. I was like, but to what you said, yes, Lex Luthor is another one of the most recognized and respected villains in DC because of the fact that Lex Luthor literally has everything planned out to such a degree. And he does that with Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage is the most intelligent man in the world because he's been around since the beginning of the world. I was like, he's a caveman who's been around since almost the dawn of mankind. I was like, and he's an immortal being, and he'll exist until the end of days of all of the planet, until the day that the earth is swallowed by the sun. He'll exist. I was like, and that's kind of his blessing and his curse. That's why he never is one to rush a plan. He has all the time in the world, and that's why his plans are always well thought out, and why he's such a smart villain. Why those two together are some of the best. And if you look at Lex Luthor is the reason that Brainiac exists, right? He's the reason for all of that. What's up, Jay Slayer? I was like, so the fact that the Joker film has had the success that it has does not surprise me at all. I'm really glad that it has the success that it does. I was like, I wouldn't have expected anything less from anyone else. I was like, so one, I have to give a lot of praise to Joaquin Phoenix's performance and the director's vision for this film. I was like, I'm glad that it in the U.S. that it beat the Justice League film. Like, of all the DC films, it definitely needed to beat that, and that's alone with its U.S. gross total. I was like that it raked that in, and now it's crossing the 1 billion, uh, and that's still not being added or having China's market added into it. If it opens up in China and it just explodes, that would be amazing to see. Because I want to see this film do really phenomenal. Because this is one of those DC films and films that could be up there, just like we saw with The Dark Knight and all of them. So I really hope that they're able to achieve something more with this film. And to those who are wondering, Op had to step out a little bit early. Emergency came up. So, yeah, I'm just going to finish closing out with all that. So, it's crazy that very few films, or that a film like The Joker got the kind of coverage that it did, and how everyone tried to downplay it and create. I mean, it kind of played into its favor that they tried to create a sensationalism around this film, right? They tried to make it seem like it was worse off or bad as it was, and that it wasn't going to be this. It was going to be this, and that, and not really give it the love and support and aspects that it should. So, with that kind of being said, I'm kind of really glad that everything is kind of put it in that realm. You know, it's a good thing to kind of see it where it is now. Now, with that being said, guys, I think that's going to be it for the show, because of the fact that everyone else is gone and I kind of have the topics here. Unless there's something that someone wants to talk about or bring up, I can definitely take a look into it or offer my thoughts on it. But, guys, with that being said, I do want to thank everyone who came through and came out and hung out with me for a little bit. Sorry that it was so light. We were running really, really low without the rest of the crew here. So it's kind of hard to talk about with everything when there ain't no one to talk to. Not really. I was like, I could talk about everything forever and never shut up. But y'all get bored of just hearing my voice. But I do want to thank everyone who stopped by and hung out, and everyone who was in the chat. I was like, thanks for coming through, Jay Slayer there. And you too, Manny. I was like, it's good to see you, man. I was like, always good to see you. And you too, Bunny. I know you stepped away for a little bit, but glad to see that you came back and everything else. And shout out to my big brother, One Away Dragons, and Megatron for stopping by for a little bit. Always love to see those guys over here. And then thank you for everyone who hosted over here on Mixer and all that good stuff. I was like, I appreciate all of you guys. I was like, I truly do love all of y'all. Make sure that y'all follow all of me on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, of course here on Mixer and YouTube, and also follow me on Twitter, all at Bloody Nux. That's BLOODIE_KNUX. And make sure you follow the rest of the crew. You can find that over down in the description if you're on YouTube, or you can find them all at their information down below as well. You can find operations at operation_oppo, OPO. Then, of course, you can find G at Supra, like the car, _G, GEE. Then you can find our resident artist, Soul King Lives. And, of course, you can find Creative Kofi at creative_Kofi. So follow them all on Twitter and go show them some love and support, guys. But I do want to thank everyone for stopping by. I love you all. I appreciate you all. It's been a great time. So be back here next week when we talk and get the crew back together. Hopefully everything is better, because everyone's been playing Stupid Dad and all sorts of stuff recently. So it's been a minute and been hard to kind of go and get everyone together. I was like, but we're trying to do everything we can. It's that busy season, you know. It's holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving coming up here soon, all the Christmas stuff. So everyone working, got all the family time coming up. It's the worst time of things. But until next week, guys, I was like, I'll check y'all out. And if y'all aren't following me over here on Mixer and all the other places, I was like, I stream 5 times a week, so that way I always pushing out content for you guys. And I do got some stuff in the works. But until next time, guys, peace out and check you later. Sayonara. Yeah, your host did make it, Glam. I love it. Thank you. I was like, it came in literally as I started. Literally as I started. I was like, and it stayed here the whole time, so it was wonderful. So I love you, Glam. I love you and your beautiful face. Inglewood! What? Hey, Ingle. How you doing, bud? I like how everyone comes in right as I'm about to end the podcast. Right? That's my luck, Lamb. That's literally how this always goes. But that's why I love you all. I was like, y'all are amazing. Yeah, until next time, guys.
Gentlemen,